Hello and welcome to the premiere edition, the season premiere edition of The Final Drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. Back for a second year. I'm Jeremy Huber, your host in these proceedings. And boy, it's great to have high school football back once again, isn't it? Could not be any better. Again, a short calendar of games tonight because Maryland obviously not playing, not all the Virginia schools playing as well. But boy, it's going to be an interesting one, I think, this year, as we saw some great games already tonight, saw some interesting things as well. We'll talk about every single bit of it. What we do on this show, if you've never heard us before, if you're tuning in for the first time, basically run you down all the scores in the area. We do DMVSTREAM.com. We do the district. We do Maryland. We do Virginia. We do the private schools. We do it all here on DMVSTREAM.com. Sometimes we preview the action on Saturday. We do every single bit of it, get you up to date on the scores. We also try to talk to the coaches and sometimes players of the teams that are really getting it done when it comes to high school football. We'll have a great show for you lined up tonight. 4 coaches scheduled to join us. We will hear from DeMatha head coach Elijah Brooks. Brooks, of course, his team with a nationally ranked matchup tomorrow as they play Miami Central. A lot of teams, number 2 team in the nation. A lot of periodicals, number 2 team in the nation. The DeMatha ranked by some number 5 in the nation, some number 15. Either way, it's going to be a one heck of a game tomorrow just in the shadows of FedEx Field. We'll talk to Coach Brooks about that matchup and more. We'll also talk to another team from the WCAC, the head coach of the up-and-coming McNamara Mustangs, Keith Goganius. We'll hear from him as well tonight. His squad taking on a good Riverdale Baptist team ranked in the All-Met Sports Top 20, so we'll hear from him. We'll also head on out to Virginia, a couple of huge matchups in Loudoun County tonight, maybe district supremacy type matchups. Tuscarora with a win over Briar Woods. We'll hear from their head coach, Mike Burnett, head coach of the Huskies, about their victory. Also, John Champ, one of the underdog stories of last year. Well, the Knights able to go ahead and get a win over Dulles District, really team that's been doing it all there, Woodgrove. We'll talk to the Knights head coach, Jason Dawson, tonight. So all that coming up on the show. Make sure you go ahead and keep it tuned right here to The Final Drive on DMVStream.com. Well, let's go ahead and run down what we have for you scores-wise. We'll kind of keep you up to date on these 2 or 3 times per night and let you know exactly what's going on. Of course, we start with the All-Met Sports Top 20. The top team didn't play tonight. DeMatha taking on Miami Central, a noon kickoff tomorrow at the Prince George's Learning and Sports Complex. Of course, also that game will be on ESPN, so it should be a big one tomorrow for Elijah Brooks and his crew. Again, we'll talk to Coach Brooks later in the show. Also, number 2, Good Counsel, a big win for them tonight as they beat Wilson 48-0. Good Counsel led 35-0 after the first quarter. Also scored 2 touchdowns on pick sixes. So Bob Malloy's crew really getting the job done tonight as they beat Wilson. Rest of your top 5 is Idle. Douglas, they have the big one against Wise next week. Number 4, Northwest, they're at Gaithersburg next week. Another interesting one. And number 5, Westfield, they're Idle. They play next Thursday. That one will be a matchup at Washington Lee. Number 6, Damascus, they're Idle until next Friday when they face off with Quince Orchard. Number 7, Bullis, they're going to be idle until next Saturday when they take on Mount St. Joe's. The next team in action at number 8, as it was St. John's. They were down in Florida today as they took on Atlantic of near the Daytona area, and St. John's looking very good. They beat Atlantic of Florida 41-0. Talik Mann with a big game. He had 3 touchdown passes. Cadets led that one 34-0 at the half. Their next contest will be coming against Archbishop Spalding of Baltimore, that one next week. But the Cadets, again, ranked number 8 as they look for a little bit of a bounce back after what they think was a little bit of a tough season. They get the win tonight, 34-0. Keelan Robinson, Charles Briscoe, Quincy Hall on the receiving end of Talik Mann's touchdown passes. Also, Ryan Vessels, Cordell Brown, and Maurice Bellion all rush for scores for St. John's. Surprise of the night down in Prince William County, as it was the Battlefield Bobcats under new head coach Jared Van Acker, shocking Hilton, winning that one 28-0. Hilton, the number 9 ranked team in the area. And boy, did they go ahead and get it done tonight, or did Battlefield, as they beat Hilton by that 28-0 score. Interesting wrinkle in this contest, as it was Hilton QB Donovan Williams. He didn't start the game. Don't know if he actually did play, but the Bulldogs got a bit of a hole early on. Their backup quarterback fumbled twice, led to some Battlefield points. Battlefield able to go ahead and pull away and get a 28-0 win for new head coach Jared Van Acker, taking over for the retired Mark Cox. Of course, Van Acker spent the last 2 seasons at Freedom High School in Loudon, won one game per season, but a lot more successful for him tonight as his team beats Hilton by a count of 28-0. Number 10, Quince Orchard, their idol. They play next week against Damascus. Number 11, Lake Braddock idol. They'll play Lee next week. Number 12, Old Mill, their idol. They play Severna Park next week. Number 13, Stonebridge idol. They play McLean next week. Number 14, South County, their idol. They'll play Briar Woods next week. Number 15, Riverdale Baptist at McNamara tomorrow, 2 p.m. start. We'll talk to the head coach of the Mustangs, Keith Goganius, in just a little bit. Number 16, Duval idol. They'll take on C.H. Flowers next Saturday. Number 17, Centerville idol. They're at Annandale next week. Number 19, Briar Woods, knocked off by number 18, Tuscarora tonight, 22-16. Briarwoods led this one 16-14 at the half. Daniel Smith, though, the quarterback for Tuscarora, kind of taking over that lead player role for the All-Met Player of the Year last year. Noah Reimers, the standout running back. He's at Harvard now. Daniel Smith's a senior, and Smith looking very good with 3 total touchdowns. Had 2 running, 1 passing. Also had a 2-point conversion run, scored the game winner with 2:39 left in the game for Briar Woods. Quarterback DeAndre Thomas had 2 touchdowns, and he really kept that offense going, a little Oregon-style offense for the Falcons this year, but not enough as they fall to Tuscarora by a score of 22-16. Remember, coming up after the break, we plan to speak with head coach of Tuscarora, Mike Burnett. Number 20, H.D. Woodson, a big win tonight as they beat Martinsburg of West Virginia 26-24. This is the first time in 8 years that Martinsburg has lost their season opener, according to the head coach of the Woodson Warriors, Greg Fuller. Usually Martinsburg, I believe, won maybe the last 4 or 5 West Virginia state championships at their highest level. Very good football team, but they're beaten tonight by H.D. Woodson. Woodson, again, a team that's gone on the road and traveled before in some very tough environments, and for Greg Fuller's squad, it's really working out well as they get the win tonight against the Bulldogs of Martinsburg. Elsewhere, looking at your private schools and your DC schools, Spalding beats St. Mary's Riken 45-21. Remember, St. Mary's Riken going into the WCAC. They're already in it as a basketball and every other sport, lacrosse, all the different ones. Now they're a full football member, and they fall tonight to Spalding of the Baltimore area 45-21. Morgantown beats Anacostia tonight 54-30. That was actually a 5-point game at the start of the fourth quarter, but then Morgantown pulled away. Blue, they beat Eastern tonight 38-18 in a battle of DCIAA Stars and Stripes squads. Of course, Eastern top team in the Stripes last year, but Blue scored 24 straight to end the game. So Eastern and the Ramblers had a pretty good one going, and then Blue flexing their muscles. Freshman Jamal Speaks, that is, for Blue, with 3 touchdowns on the night. Dunbar with a big win over Theodore Roosevelt, 37-0. Let's, again, no games for the public schools in Maryland this week, so let's get it over to Virginia. Mountain View with a win over Freedom of Woodbridge. That one 42-20 for Mountain View. Broad Run with a win in Loudoun County. They played a little bit earlier than the teams around them. Spartans win that one 28-7. Elsewhere, John Champ with a big win tonight over Woodgrove, 20-17. Champ made the playoffs last year, the first time they played a Woodgrove team that's won the last few Dulles District Championships. That's the smaller schools in Loudoun County. Of course, you may have heard of Stonebridge, Briarwood, Tuscarora, the bigger schools. Well, the smaller ones, Woodgrove's kind of been the king of the castle out there, but Champ able to get the win tonight, 20-17. Dominion of Loudoun County, they go on the road. They beat Charlottesville 12-6. Billy Walker with a touchdown run for the Titans. Also 2 field goals for Dominion. Titan D allowed their lone touchdown in the fourth quarter. Fauquier beats Loudoun County 23-20. Falk here scored one touchdown on a long run on a fake punt, also set up another touchdown with a fake punt. So Raiders got to work on their special teams if they're going to be successful this season. Had a tough one tonight against the Falcons. Freedom of South Riding. We talked about the fact they were 1-9 the last 2 years. Well, they matched their win total from last 2 years with a win tonight. They beat Flavanna County 21-20. Potomac of Virginia, they beat Garfield 46-20. It was Heritage with a big win against James Wood 55-21. Loudoun Valley, a big win over Kettle Run 33-6. Liberty baseball recruit Trey McDyer with 4 touchdowns for the Vikings in that contest. Parkview had a winless seasons 2 of the last 3 years. They get a win tonight, beating Manassas Park 26-21. North Stafford a winner tonight as they beat Osborne 53-22. Of course, that's the first game for Osborne head coach Chris Samuels. Yes, the same Chris Samuels that used to be the all-pro offensive tackle for the Washington Redskins. Elsewhere, interesting game in Loudoun County as 2 first-year programs faced off, and it was Rockridge beating Riverside 29-28 in overtime. Rockridge getting the first win in school history. Eric Vivian with a game-winning 2-point conversion run also tied the game with a touchdown run in overtime. Rockridge, a school that went with the played a JV schedule last year, then they switched over to varsity this year. Riverside jumping right in as it's a new classification year, new cycle in Loudoun this year. So Riverside jumped right in and pretty competitive against the Rockridge team. Thinking maybe with the chance to kind of build up from JV would be pretty good for that level. And they end up having a tough one, but they beat Riverside 29-28. Rockridge getting their first win of their school's history. Another game to pass along right now. A few more for you later in the show. But Patriot a winner over Stafford 20-17 as the Pioneers go ahead and get the win, looking for a bit of a rebuilding season out of them, seeing exactly what they're able to go ahead and do. Of course, remember you're listening to The Final Drive with yours truly, Jeremy Huber on DMVSTREAM.com. You can tweet us at DMVSTREAM, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. That's hashtag DMV Final Drive. Well, coming up after this, we're going to have a treat for you. One of the many interviews we plan on having tonight, head coach of the Tuscarora Huskies, Mike Burnett, his team with a big win over Briar Woods. We'll talk to him right after this. You're listening to The Final Drive. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's Special Baked Beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVSTREAM.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. And welcome back into the final drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. Again, a big night here on the show. We'll be talking later on to DeMatha head coach Elijah Brooks, also McNamara head coach Keith Goganius, also hearing from head coach of the John Champ Knights, Jason Dawson. So make sure you stay tuned for every single bit of that. Remember, you can go ahead and tweet at us here on the final drive. Go ahead and do it. It's an easy way to go ahead and do it. You just tweet at DMV Stream and hashtag it with DMV Final Drive, and go ahead and use the hashtag DMV Final Drive. You want to let us know what you thought about a game tonight, got a score we didn't give, go ahead and pass that along as well. Also, you can do all kinds of things if you want to, but again, if you want to tweet at us, that's the best way to kind of let us know what you're thinking out there. Do that at DMV Stream, hashtag Final Drive. Joined now by Tuscarora Huskies head coach Mike Burnett. His team with a huge win tonight to open the season, knocking off Briar Woods 22-16 in the only battle of top 20 teams in the area. First off, Coach Burnett, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Now, I think most folks, casual fans of the Tuscarora Huskies, they said, Noah Reimers is gone. What are they going to do? Well, it looks like you guys went with Daniel Smith. Talk about what your quarterback was able to do tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel's a great player. I mean, I told people, last year that, he's a very humble kid, and he took a back seat to Noah, and certainly could have played a much larger role, but was willing to do what was asked of him. And we knew this year he was going to just have to play a bigger role and put the ball in his hands at the end of games, and he certainly didn't let us down.
And obviously, he was injured a little bit last year. Could you tell how good it feels for him to be out there kind of able to go free and easy, unlike last year where he was kind of dealing with some injuries?
Well, yeah, he's so smooth, and he makes things so hard because if you try to pressure him, he's unbelievably elusive. He can run and he can throw, and he can throw on the run. So, he's just so tough to defend, and he's really a different player this year, I think.
You look at this game tonight, and it looked like you guys had some early issues with fumbles and some penalties. What were you guys able to do in the second half to kind of knock that off and go ahead and get a win?
Well, I felt like we still did it in the second half, to be honest with you. It was a relatively sloppy game, but that's kind of to be expected week one. I think the challenge was, everybody's at the same disadvantage, and we just had such a big game. And, Briarwood's a great team, and when we made mistakes, they made us pay in the first half. And we cleaned it up a little bit in the second half, but we got a lot of work to do still.
This Briar Woods team implementing a new offense a little bit, but they're called an Oregon-style West Coast. How tough was it going against what they were doing today, considering it's a little bit of a departure from what they've done in the past?
Yeah, and that was what was so hard, I think, for both teams is that we didn't have a lot of film to go off of in preparation, and so and it's very hard to simulate their quarterback. He's an outstanding player, and he gave us fits in the first half. In the second half, we pretty much, committed to making somebody else beat us, and I think we were able to get the stops we needed. But he's a great player, and I think they're going to have a great season.
Talking to the head coach, the Tuscarora Huskies, Mike Burnett, his team with a 22-16 win over in-county rival Briar Woods. Coach, looking at the game today, obviously, you guys moved this game up from what I've read, that it was supposed to be a little bit farther back. You and Coach Pierce at Briar Woods both wanted to buy. She said, hey, let's play it early. That kind of leads into that big game feel early in the season. Did you feel that with your team this year, maybe the preparation being a little bit better because they knew, hey, we've got a bear of a game to start things off?
Yeah, honestly, it's really one of the biggest challenges I've had since being a coach is having this big a game this early. Because usually you have a week or two to figure some things out. We got a lot of new players, and I think it showed. But both Coach Pierce and I knew we're both in the same boat, and I think that's the beauty of football and life is that there's no excuses. We could have executed better. They could have. We were both at the same advantage, and to be honest, it was fun to have a game like this, and it's not surprising. I think that it was that close and came down to the last possession. It's just great for the area. It's great for football, and we're just grateful we came out on top.
course, Coach, you guys have playoff aspirations after getting to the state finals last year. You take on crosstown rival Loudoun County next, then it just becomes a bear the rest of the way. Hayfield, Oakton, Centerville, Herndon, then you get in your conference schedule. I hear you laughing right there. How do you kind of approach going forward with that gauntlet that you guys are going to have to go with this year?
Yeah, you didn't have to read it to me. We've been, it sounds worse when you're hearing it, but yeah, it's, that's been our approach. That's why we knew, it's got to be our approach with a schedule like this, is that we got to get this one. We really needed this one. We knew we needed this one because it doesn't get any easier. And we're just going to take it one game at a time. We just got to prepare. And, I think all the kind of the big four teams in Loudoun there, we're all kind of geared down to play the Concord district and then get into our district and try to put yourself in a great shape for the playoffs. I think we'll all be battle tested. I think it'll pay off down the road for all of us, to be honest with you.
And one last one before I let you go, Coach. I feel like this year I'm a longtime Loudoun County resident. Actually, I covered you back when you were at Broad Run, your first stop. And does it seem like to you that Loudoun County football is starting maybe to get the same respect, as it were, maybe to the Fairfax counterparts, where in the past it was more of a, hey, those guys are doing their thing out there, great, kind of a pat on the head, where now you guys obviously have teams that compete with anybody in the state?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the evolution of it. I've been here, this is my 10th year, and I can't even compare Loudoun County football a decade ago to today. It's, the quality of play, the level of players, the quality of coaching, the facilities. It's really hard to imagine what it was like back, 10 years ago, I think. And that's what's going to be fun, to get to moved to this new era where there's just great football all over Northern Virginia. And it's, I think it's great for kids and fans and football.
Well, Coach, you got the first one. You got a lot more to go ahead and get the rest of the season, but a big win for you guys tonight, knocking off Briarwoods. Coach Mike Burnett, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
And Coach Burnett with a huge win tonight. His team, again, they went all the way to the state championship game last year in 5A in Virginia. And again, look, they got a big win tonight, beating a Briarwood squad, kind of looking for a bounce back after they had a down year after their runs to the state championship game. And of course, the many state championships they won came up short their first year, moving up in classification. But program in Ashburn under Charlie Pierce, a good one as well, but the one in Leesburg under Mike Burnett, very, very good, as they're able to go ahead and get the win tonight, 22-16 over their counterparts in the Potomac District. Two new scores in of note: Forest Park, a 35-25 winner over Osborne Park. Of course, Osborne Park trying to get things back on the right track. Forest Park competing for a playoff spot once again. Woodbridge, a winner over Stonewall Jackson tonight. Vikings take that one 17-13 there under their new head coach this year, as the Vikings trying to get themselves back to where they used to be, one of the top teams, obviously, kind of moving things around. But the Vikings of Woodbridge getting the win tonight again by a count of 17-13. Of course, their head coach, Gary Wortham, coming over from Freedom of Woodbridge and getting a win in his first game as the head coach of the Vikings of Woodbridge. Of course, a lot of games tomorrow of note. A lot of your WCAC schools playing tomorrow. Also, some of the other top private schools in the area playing tomorrow. Run those down for you real quick. It'll be an 11 o'clock start for Potomac School, as they'll host Mount Carmel of Maryland. Also tomorrow, we talked about it, number 1 DeMatha taking on Miami Central. Will be joined by their head coach, Elijah Brooks, in just a bit. A 12 o'clock start. You can see that one on ESPN. Also be played at the Prince George's Sports and Learning Center. Friendship Collegiate will be at St. Francis. That'll be a 1 o'clock start on the road for Friendship. Also, O'Connell will host number 4 team in Maryland, McDonough, a 1 o'clock start in Arlington. Also, one of the other games we were kind of focusing on, McNamara, they'll host number 15, Riverdale Baptist. We'll hear from their head coach, McNamara's head coach, Keith Goganius, in just a bit later on in the show. 2 o'clock start there. Gonzaga reopens their field. Had to play the whole season on the road last year. Gonzaga will host Calvert Hall, the 11th ranked team in all of Maryland. Carroll goes on the road, a long way on the road. They'll play Schroeder of Ohio, a 7 o'clock start. Also a 7 o'clock start locally for Avalon, as they'll take on Colonial Beach. Again, you're listening to The Final Drive with Jeremy Huber on DMVSTREAM.com. You can tweet us at DMVStream. Use the hashtag DMVFinalDrive. That's again, tweet us at DMVStream and use that hashtag DMVFinalDrive. We'll be back after this. We'll be joined by the head coach of the DeMatha Stags, Elijah Brooks, talking about his team's big game against Miami Central tomorrow. That's all coming up right after this.
Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. And welcome back into The Final Drive. Jeremy Huber joining you as we wrap up everything going on in the DMV when it comes to high school football. The season opened up tonight for real. Actually had some real games, no scrimmages. It was all football, and boy, was it a good one, as we saw a lot of good games out there. Some interesting upsets as well. Already heard from the head coach of the Tuscarora Huskies, Mike Burnett, as he joined us on the show, talking about his team's big win over the Briar Woods Falcons. That one a 22-16 win. So huge one for that Tuscarora team, again, as they are looking to go ahead and get back to what they did last year, a spot in the Virginia State Championship game. A big one for them as they get the win over Briar Woods. Again, really always big. You talk about some of these games really that we saw tonight starting off, teams really getting after it early, as they were, really, as we hear some of the coaches saying, hey, sometimes it's a good thing where you can go ahead and get your team ready to go early on in the season and, really have their attention, as opposed to maybe playing some lesser teams early on. That's not what these teams are doing tonight. You're seeing some teams really getting that early boost by what they're able to do with the win, with wins tonight. We saw that from the Tuscarora Huskies as they get the win tonight over the Briar Woods Falcons. Coming up later in the show, we'll be joined by the head coach of the McNamara Mustangs, Keith Goganius, to talk about his team's game against Riverdale Baptist tomorrow. Also scheduled to be joined by the head coach of the John Champ Knights for their big win over the Woodgrove Wolverines tonight, Jason Dawson. We'll go ahead and hear from him. But right now, we'll hear from the guy who's got the top team in all the area. That would be the head coach of the DeMatha Stags, Elijah Brooks. Had a chance to catch up with Coach Brooks yesterday, talking about his team and their big game against Miami Central, battle of nationally ranked teams, a high noon start tomorrow. And I had a chance to talk to Coach Brooks about that contest. Coach Brooks, obviously got the big game against Miami Central coming up this weekend, but wanted to kind of ask you something about a little bit about last year. We'll take a step back. I know you guys are always looking forward as coaches, but I think it'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about that team last year, your 2014 team, who kind of coming into the year, not that much expected from, thought maybe a down year for the Stags, but you guys go on a run late in the year and win the WCAC. Did you anticipate that run coming from your 2014 squad?
Well, I knew we had talent, but we lacked experience. And, the lack of experience showed early in the season. And, it took the coaching staff a while to find the right players and the right pieces so that we could perform at a high level. So around mid-season, we hit our stride, and those young guys started performing and started to get it. And I knew if we could, make it to the championship, we would have a shot, and we were able to get it done.
Most definitely getting that win in the championship game. Of course, your 2013 team was a championship team as well, and that squad was pretty highly touted, just like your squad this year. A lot of publications have you guys nationally ranked. I think USA Today has you guys in the top 5. Are there any similarities and any big differences between this year's squad and maybe that team that also had a lot of preseason hype kind of going into the year?
Yeah, number one thing is just the experience. You hear coaches talk about it a lot, but it definitely makes a difference. This team, you have a veteran group, and definitely mirrors what we had in 2013. The talent level is there. We're doing some really good things. There's a lot of promise, but it's a lot of football to be played, and it starts this Saturday. So the experience is there, the talent is there, but, we have to go out and show and prove like we did in 2013 in order for it to be a successful year.
Talking to Elijah Brooks, the head coach of the DeMatha Stags. And, Coach, you talked about some of that talent. There's a lot of it in your skill guys, especially in the offensive backfield. Got a nice combo back there in Lorenzo Harrison and Anthony McFarland. Talk about them and maybe some of the other skill guys to watch out for on the Stags this season.
Well, you have Lorenzo Harrison, who is our steady workhorse. He's an every down back for us. He can, catch the ball at the backfield, do some great things. DJ Turner might be pound for pound our best overall player on both sides of the ball at receiver and DB. Can take it to distance anytime he touches the ball. Anthony McFarland, arguably our most explosive player, had several 200-yard rushing games, but, can also be a threat as a pass receiver. Tino Ellis, University of Maryland commit, senior captain, receiver who can take it a distance. So, those are just a few. We have skilled kids, all over who can run with anyone, and they're excited to show what they can do.
Of course, you left off your quarterback, Bo English, and, of course, just a sophomore last year, but led you to the WCAC championship, back with another year. What does he kind of bring to the mix under center?
He gives us someone that is extremely intelligent. He understands how to put our team in the best possible scenarios on the field. He's an accurate passer. He's a heck of a leader. A lot of intangibles that you're looking for out of a quarterback. And he brings a poise to the table and a poise to the team that just keeps everyone calm when everything's not going well, and just, has gained experience, each and every year. So, he's a guy that's going to, lead us on Saturday, and we're excited about it.
Flipping over to the defensive side, Coach, Shane Simmons, your linebacker, obviously a key to your defense there. Talk about him and maybe some other guys to watch on that side of the ball.
Shane is relentless. His first step, his ability to get off the ball is unmatched. He's extremely skilled. He's relentless to the quarterback, and other guys up front feed off of him. So on the other side, we had a transfer, Chase Young, who's received multiple Division I offers, and if you didn't know it, they're eerily similar in size, strength, and speed. So we're very confident at defensive end, and on the inside, we have two talented guys. You have a sophomore, Austin Fontaine, who started many games for us last year as a freshman, and he'll be coming into a sophomore campaign, excited to do great things. And senior captain Sean Olawutimi, who also anchors the inside. So, we really feel strong about our defensive front. These guys are as good as we've ever had, and we think they're going to do a great job.
Now, you mentioned the game this weekend, obviously against Miami Central, one of the top-ranked teams in the country. That's part of a very tough schedule, probably a little tougher than last year's. What were some of the ideas behind playing a bit of a tougher schedule this year?
Well, we want to always challenge our program. Our guys work extremely hard, here at the Massa, and they want the opportunity to show what they can do against top talent. And, we've won WCAC championships, and we finished first in the state before, but we've never won a national title. And I know people think we're crazy, but it's something that we're striving for, So at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt to go for it, and it also prepares us for our league, so we're not going to be shocked once we get into the league because we played stiff competition.
Of course, American Heritage also affiliate Power LaSalle on that schedule as well. Now, let's get to the game this weekend. A 12 o'clock start over at the Prince George's County Learning Center, just in the shadows of FedEx Field, playing Miami Central, again, ranked a lot of places number 2 in the nation by that team. Tell us a little about that team and give us a little scouting report on the Rockets.
Miami Central is as good as you'll see in the country. You're talking about a veteran group who's returning a lot, Division I players all over the field, a very tough and physical front line on both sides of the ball. You're talking, 6'4" to 6'7", 300 pounds plus that really look to beat guys up on the line. You have explosive players. You have a Division I wide receiver, Donnell Solomon, who can run past you. You have a running back. They have several running backs who can take it the distance. You're just talking about immense talent all over the field. So on both sides of the ball, I mean, if you want to see good high school football and extremely talented kids, you don't want to miss Saturday.
Of course, that game also going to be broadcast on ESPN as well. Coach, are there any things when you go into that game, any advantages that you guys have maybe on the Rockets you think you can exploit or things you can do to make this one a game and get the win?
I think the one thing that, helps is, we'll have the support of our home fan base. I think us playing at a place that, we're comfortable with, will come into an advantage for us. We really hope to be disciplined, on special teams. We think that can be a factor. But overall, the team who wins the turnover battle and makes the foolish mistakes will come out with the win because we're so evenly matched.
Coach, I believe if my time was right, you guys played a game in 2007 against St. Xavier of Ohio. You were on that staff, correct?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, and you guys, it wasn't the best of times for the Stags in that one. They won, I believe, by 3 touchdowns. That was a nationally televised game. It was played in Ohio. Is there anything you can kind of learn, maybe looking back at that, at being a part of the staff and say, hey, maybe there were some things we didn't do right that day when it comes to a hype game like this that we can kind of change around this time, or is it just go out and play football?
Well, I think the biggest thing, that we learned from that game, and this is just, all the way around, is when you play a game like this and the emotions are high, kids have, different emotions going on, not allowing the team to jump out on you and gain momentum and get rolling. And unfortunately in 2007, we began to make a comeback, but it was too late. They did a good job of sticking with their game plan. So we just want to make sure that we get off to a good start and not allow those guys to, gain confidence and begin rolling. And I think if we, get into the game and allow ourselves to just stay with the game plan, we'll be okay.
All right, well, Coach Brooks, good luck in that one. Again, the DeMatha Stags taking on the Miami Central Rockets. We at the Prince George's Sports and Learning Center, a noon kickoff. If you want to be there in person, also can watch it on ESPN. Coach, good luck on Saturday.
Hey, I appreciate it.
And a big, big game tomorrow. If you're any type of high school football fan, you should get out there and at the very least go ahead and watch it on ESPN, as it should be a very big matchup between DeMatha and Miami Central. Coming up after the break, we'll get you up to date again on the scores, and we'll hear from head coach of the John Champ Knights, Jason Dawson, his team with a big win over the Woodgrove Wolverines of Purcellville. Big one in Loudoun County. We'll talk about that one with their head coach, Jason Dawson of John Champ. It's coming up right after this here on The Final Drive.
Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVSTREAM.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. And welcome back into The Final Drive. Jeremy Huber with you. Remember, if you want to go ahead and get at us, do it at DMV Stream, hashtag it DMV Final Drive. Again, tweet at us at DMV Stream and hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Let's go ahead and run down the scores from tonight. Not a lot of games. We start with the highest ranked team in action tonight. That was number 2, Good Counsel. Big win for them, 48-0 over Wilson of DC. Number 8, St. John's beat Atlantic of Florida 41-0. Played that one down in the Sunshine State. Number 9, Hilton shocked by Battlefield 28-0. Bobcats head coach Jared Van Acker getting his first win at the new school in his first game with the Bobcats. Number 18, Tuscarora beat number 19, Briar Woods 22-16. Daniel Smith 3 touchdowns for the Huskies. Number 20, H.D. Woodson went over the mountain and beat Martinsburg of West Virginia, the 5-6-7. We're not sure exactly defending state champs over there. Warriors get the win 26-24, the first loss in an opener for Martinsburg in 8 years. Elsewhere, Spalding over St. Mary's Riken 45-21. It was Morgantown beating Anacostia 54-30. Ballou over Eastern 38-18 as Ballou ran off 24 straight to end the game. Dunbar over Theodore Roosevelt 37-0. In Virginia, Mountain View beat Freedom Woodbridge 42-20. It was Broad Run over Potomac Falls 28-7. Champ beat Woodgrove in overtime 20-17. We'll hear from the head coach of the John Champ Knights, Jason Dawson, in just a second. It was Dominion over Charlottesville 12-6. Fauquier beat Loudoun County 23-20. Freedom of South Riding gets the win over Flavanna County 21-20. Potomac of Virginia over Garfield 46-20. Heritage beat James Wood 55-21. Loudoun Valley over Kettle Run 33-6. Trey McDyer 4 touchdowns for the Vikings. Parkview over Manassas Park 26-21. North Stafford beat Osborne 53-22 in the first game for New Osborne head coach Chris Samuels, formerly of the Washington Redskins. Forest Park over Osborne Park 38-25. Rock Ridge gets the first win in school history, in the first game in school history in overtime, beating Riverside 29-28. Patriot over Stafford 20-17. Well, it was Woodbridge over Stonewall Jackson 17-13. Joined now by the head coach of the John Champ Knights, Jason Dawson. They get a big win tonight, knocking off Woodgrove in one of the Loudoun County matchups we watched tonight. Coach Dawson, first off, congrats on the big win.
Thank you very much. I just want to say thank you to the family and the administration, the coaches, the kids, and especially my wife. You know, my 3 kids. Just amazing team effort tonight.
Yeah, big one for you guys. I think a lot of folks thought that you guys might be a challenger to Woodgrove this year in the Dulles District. I don't know if people thought you'd be able to knock them off, but first game of the season, pretty good. How are you guys able to go out and knock off this Woodgrove team who's kind of ran the district for the last few years?
Just did our job. We put a lot of work in the last 4 years, and that's what it took. Last 4 years. I mean, this group is what opened the school. So it's 4 years worth of work. You know, I mean, we're trying to get our college degree in high school football. So this is the 4th year, so hopefully for payday year we can get a degree, so to speak. But, you know, the off-season work for 4 years, and then, you know, we did what we were supposed to do tonight finally. We tackled on defense, we lined up correctly, we made plays, and offensively we stayed consistent. We did not turn the ball over, and that was the difference.
We talked a little bit about before we went to the interview. You said you had a trio of guys on the offensive end who really helped get it done for you. Talk about those guys and what they did.
Sure. Coleman Rafferty, amazing job as wide receiver. Just was consistent running his routes, great catches. Took that last drive and caught a hitch and almost took it to the house, and that really opened it up. Zach Burdick just threw an amazing game, didn't throw any picks. Did a great job, get the ball to the open receiver, very selfless. And then David Cousineau, our starting tailback, you know, he's grinded for 4 years and finally gets to start as a senior. And he made some big runs for us. So those 3 kids scored on the outside from like 40 yards. So, you know, it's just amazing that these kids built this program. I mean, they're part of the kids that built the program. They've been here since day one.
Yeah, I saw tonight you guys had, it was an overtime victory, and if I remember correctly, you guys had at least one game that went to overtime, maybe 2. Did those previous experiences help you guys out in a matchup like this where it was kind of nitty-gritty at the end?
Sure, a little bit. Last year, we got our first, 2 years ago, we got our first win ever. Against Pop Falls, it was an overtime win. But I think what provided that grit tonight, honestly, is our summer. We spent a lot of time playing teams in camps that are just phenomenal, Division 5 and Division 6 teams, and playing just teams that make us stress in the summer, and it trains our way to play. We scrimmaged Tuscarora High School out of Leesburg in one of our scrimmages, and just finding those challenges. I think that kind of puts the finishing touches on roughing out our edges and giving us that difference tonight, really.
You talked about challenges. Obviously, this game, the first game of the year, one that really could mean something when it comes to district time and playoffs later on. Did you feel that your kids maybe had that little extra edge in the summertime, knowing, hey, we got to be at our A game when we start the season off because we're playing a really good opponent?
Absolutely. That's why we put such a hard scrimmage this summer together, because we knew we didn't have 4 games to get ready for Woodgrove. Like, we had to be ready for Woodgrove week 1. So we put the extra times in. We did more camps we've ever done this summer. We never changed our workout routine. It's just that's what work is. And then we kind of amped up our scrimmage schedule, putting some Division 5 teams on our scrimmage and Division 4 teams on our scrimmages, and that really changed. And, you know, altered our practice schedule this summer, about 4 weeks. We put in more time. We're smart about our time, make good decisions, and it led us to be where we are tonight.
One last one for you, Coach Dawson. Obviously, last year, your team was a bit of an upstart team as you made it into the playoffs. You got a lot of kudos for that. Now, with this win today, you guys are kind of the hunted, some would say, as maybe you're the favorite to win the district. How do you kind of approach that with a team that maybe hasn't been there before?
Oh, it's real simple. We don't change. We have one goal, and that's to be the very best in our profession. Whether you're a D lineman or a quarterback or an inside linebackers coach, your job is to be the best at your profession. You want to perfect it daily. If you chase that process, you chase that perfection, Friday nights typically turn out favorably. And if we focus on that process, it's a cliche, but cliches are true because that's how it became a cliche. You know, we have one job right now. It's go home and get some rest. Get up tomorrow at 9 a.m. back to work. We got to prepare for a Spring Mills team in West Virginia. It's very athletic. I don't have to change the way I coach, because the way we coach is just get better and work hard every day, and that's what it takes to be a winner in anything in life.
Well, obviously, Coach Dawson, your team is getting better. A big win tonight over Woodgrove for you. Again, Coach Dawson, congratulations.
Thanks, Coach. Have a great night.
Jason Dawson, the head coach of the John Champ Knights. Again, you see it all the time. These teams kind of come not out of nowhere per se, but teams are able to go ahead and really get things going very quickly in high school football. You get the right guys in there. You get a guy that can go ahead and really attract the kids, get them out for football, and boy, there's things that they can do. Dawson, a guy coming over, I believe was at Broad Run High School, and again, he, really has done some good things down there in an area that hasn't had a lot of good football. Freedom High School has had some tough stuff down there, though who knows, they went down a level this year, maybe can kind of get things going. But Champ coming into that Aldi South Riding area just across the Fairfax County border into Loudoun County on Route 50. But Dawson coming over from being an assistant at a very good Broad Run program, actually under Mike Burnett, who you heard from earlier on in the show tonight. Dawson was part of that staff there. And really, he's gone over to John Champ. Took him a little bit to get it going, but boy, does he have it going now. Their big win tonight is able to go ahead and knock off Woodgrove in that contest tonight, getting the win by that count of 20-17 in overtime. Well, we're going to go ahead and take one more break. We'll be right back after this. We're going to go ahead and have a chance to talk to the head coach of the McNamara Mustangs. Got a big one tomorrow against Riverdale Baptist. We'll be joined on the show by Keith Goganius, the head coach at McNamara, also the Penn State NFL linebacker. We'll talk to Coach Goganius right after this. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Final Drive.
Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVSTREAM.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Our time running short here on The Final Drive. Remember, 2 games involving ranked teams in the All-Met Sports rankings tomorrow. Of course, the biggie is number 1 DeMatha hosts Miami Central in a battle of nationally ranked teams. McNamara with a chance, as they were kind of a team on the rise last year, with a chance to kind of get their season off on the right foot as they'll take on number 15 Riverdale Baptist. McNamara hosting that one at 2 o'clock. Had a chance to catch up with the head coach of the Mustangs, Keith Goganius. Talked to him about his team, that matchup with Riverdale Baptist, and some of the stars on that squad. He caught up with Coach Goganius on the Final Drive. Did it earlier today and talked to him about what exactly his team has going into this season. Goganius, obviously last year, You guys won late season games against St. John's and O'Connell, some big ones to get you into the playoffs for the first time since 2009. Did you feel some effects of momentum from those late wins and that spot in the playoffs in the WCAC?
Well, one of the things we really talked about last year was finishing strong, how we're going to play at the last part of the season and how we would need that momentum to make it to the playoffs. So the good thing about it is that we were able to do that. We were able to catch the momentum, and we're hoping to carry that over into the start of this season.
Did you feel any when you're out there, and you have new players and stuff, did you feel maybe a boost or anyone kind of looking at the McNamara program maybe a bit differently because you made into the prestigious WCAC playoffs?
Well, I think the knowledge and knowing that we did make it and the hard work that we put in to get there, it helps you coming into this season. I think one thing we can really look at is we only had 5 seniors last year. This year we have 22 seniors. So from a perspective of having guys that have a little bit more experience, we do have that. So hopefully that experience will help us as we start the season on Saturday.
Of course, one of the guys you got to look at, it's a senior, it's Ramar Williams, your quarterback, was the All-Met selection at quarterback this past year. What does he do for your team?
I think Ramar brings a very great dynamic to our team, the leadership skills, his experience. He'll be a 4-year starter. He's the only guy on our team that'll be a 4-year starter. So you have a guy that's been around the block, so to say, a guy that's been very productive, a guy that has the leadership qualities, and a guy that's also been recognized by the coaches and his peers in this area. So I think Lamar brings a lot to the table as far as leadership and how it should be done from not just your play, but also, how you carry yourself on and off the field.
Of course, his favorite target, Kamari Murray, your wide receiver. He's closing in on the WCAC receptions record. Why is he so good, and what does he do for your team?
I think the thing that's really unique about Kamari is his ability to make yards after his catch. I mean, he does a great thing with catching the ball and then getting yards after that. He's a very elusive runner. He's a track kid, open quarter kid that has great hands. So he's very dynamic in the things that he can do, line up in the slot or possibly in the backfield. So what he brings to us, the dimension he brings us, he creates a matchup nightmare for some people who try to cover him with a linebacker.
Coach, obviously, even they're as good as they are, you can't just have a 2-man offense. Who are some other folks to look at when you're watching this McNamara team this year?
I think when you look at that, some of our running back, Justin Burns, I think he's going to have a great year. Opposite of Kamari, you have Brian Thompson at wide receiver, Charles Kelly at wide receiver. I'm really looking to see what Chaz Lyles can do. He's another kid that'll be playing wide receiver for us. So I think we have some very skilled guys that can complement our offense and what we can do. One of the things we really worked on this year is running the ball. I think Justin Burns is going to give us that back we've been looking for the last 2 years since I've been here, that could possibly get us, those 80, 90, 100 yards a game.
Coach, you're an old linebacker, played in the pros, played at Penn State, so obviously defense close to your heart. Who are some guys on that side of the ball that we should be looking out for this year?
Well, I think definitely on one side, I have a 3-year starter and Braden Domino at corner. They're a kid that does a really good job, second team all conference last year. Jamal Watson, who's a kid that's committed to going to Kentucky, outside linebacker, played for the first year last year football, and has accepted the full ride to go to for Kentucky. Wesley Bowers, our Mike linebacker, is a real stud kid there in the middle that really anchors down our defense and kind of get us going in the right direction. So I think we have a nice core. Malcolm Harley at free safety, another young man who's got some offers from different schools. So of those, 2 of those guys are seniors I just mentioned. Another 2 are in the classes. So we do have some of those guys with the experience that can really lead our defense the way I like it to be led.
Most definitely. Talking to head coach of McNamara, Keith Goganius, today here on the final drive. And again, you look at your early season schedule, you got the game this week against Riverdale. We'll talk about that in just a second. Also, Woodbury Forest and Liberty Christian, getting you ready for the WCAC season. What were your philosophies as you guys put together that schedule?
I think one thing we're looking for is, to have a competitive schedule. Want to give the kids opportunity to play some other good teams, maybe not in this area, but other teams that are in Virginia that are really good football teams, kind of give them the experience of traveling to different places. One thing we're trying to build is a program that people will want to come and be part of, and we can go out and have that McNamara brand, and we bring good quality football student athletes to the table when people compete against us. And so I think one of the things we looked at when building the schedule was, we want to play some of the best in the area. We want to play some of the people that the parents can drive, go see the game, and come back if necessary in the same day. And I just think it's, the direction that our program should be going in as far as, playing other talent outside of our area here.
Coach, you look at that schedule and you've got Riverdale this weekend. They're a ranked team in the All-Met post rankings. Talk about them. Give us a little scouting report on what they bring to the table.
I think Coach Knowles does a great job with those young men over there. They're very competitive, a very physical team. We're definitely going to have our hands full with Mr. Lee there at running back. Had the pleasure of watching them last year, and then had the displeasure of watching them when he played against us. But I think they bring a very unique dynamic to the table. Spread offense, got a multi-threat quarterback, some really good skill receivers. That defense, is gritty and plays tough. So, it's going to be a good challenge for us to see where we are. They're not too far from us, so it's kind of like a backyard battle, which would be great for both schools, to have starting creating a nice little rivalry. And at least we can, create competition, friendly competition between both schools on the football field. So, I recruited when Coach Knowles was at the other schools. I recruited when I was at Hampton, so I had a great opportunity to build a relationship with them. So I know that they're going to be a quality, well-prepared team when we play them tomorrow.
One last one for you, Coach. You mentioned, I think, the phrase "know where we are." Obviously, you're in your third year. Where do you think the program is under you, and do you like where it's headed?
Yeah, I think, when I first took the job and I met with some college coaches and other high school coaches, and we talked about philosophies, and all of them stated that year 3 would be the year that you really should see a philosophy come through. And I think we're headed in the right direction on the type of student athlete I want in our program, the type of program that we want here at Bishop McNamara, and the type of coaches that I want here coaching and represent us on and off the field. And we have those three things in place right now. I'm looking forward to seeing how it all folds out, having an experience, like I mentioned before, having more seniors, this large group of seniors that we've had since I've been here. It's going to be a challenge because we're going to play quality teams every weekend, but that's part of seeing your make as a football player, your make as a team, and your make as a coach and a coaching staff, to go against quality kids in this area and coaches in this area. So we're going in the right direction. We just got to, take it game by game and day by day. But the thing is never take our focus off of where we're trying to go, and that's first get in the playoffs and then go from there.
Of course, got that good team this weekend in Riverdale Baptist. Head coach of McNamara, Keith Goganius. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Good luck.
And Coach Goganius, again, his squad with a big matchup tomorrow. So they'll take on Riverdale Baptist in what should be an interesting one, kind of the up-and-coming squad in McNamara versus a ranked squad in Riverdale Baptist. The Mustangs have a chance to kind of make their mark early on in the season. Into our little overtime right now. Pass usually off at 11:30, but got some extra stuff to go through, and we'll go ahead and do it right now. We're going to run down one last time your scores tonight. Again, not a lot of teams playing. None of the Maryland teams playing tonight. Some of the DC teams, some of the privates played tonight. Some play tomorrow. Of course, so a little bit of a limited schedule. Start with your top 20 in the All-Met Sports Top 20. Number 2, Good Counsel, big win tonight, 48-0 over Wilson. Number 8, St. John's down in Florida, beat Atlantic 41-0. Battlefield upset number 9, Hilton, 28-0. It was number 18, Tuscarora, over number 19, Briar Woods, 22-16. Number 20, H.D. Woodson beats Martinsburg of West Virginia 26-24. In your private school action, Spalding over St. Mary's Riken 45-21. Anacostia fell to Morgantown 54-30. Indians going over to West Virginia to play that one. Ballou over Eastern 38-18. Dunbar big over Theodore Roosevelt 37-0. It was in Virginia. Freedom of Woodbridge fell to Mountain View 42-20. Broad Run over at Potomac Falls 28-7. Champ knocks off Woodgrove 20-17 in overtime. Dominion beat Charlottesville 12-6. Fauquier over Loudoun County 23-20. Freedom of South Riding edges Flavanna County 21-20. It was Potomac of Virginia over Garfield 46-20. Heritage beat James Wood 55-21. Loudoun Valley over Kettle Run 33-6. Parkview beats Manassas Park 26-21. North Stafford over Osborne 53-22. Forest Park beat Osborne Park 38-25. Rockridge gets the first win in school history in their first game in school history, 29-28 in overtime over Riverside. Patriot beat Stafford 20-17. It was Woodbridge over Stonewall Jackson 17-13. Your games tomorrow. These in order of when they are. If you want to go out and catch a game, should be a lot of good ones to go ahead and see. It's Potomac School hosting Mount Carmel of Maryland at 11 a.m. tomorrow. It'll be number 1 DeMatha hosting Miami Central, battle of nationally ranked teams, a noon start in that contest. It'll be Friendship Collegiate traveling to St. Francis, 1 o'clock start. O'Connell hosts McDonough at 1 o'clock. In Arlington, should be a big one. McDonough expect to do some things in Maryland this year. Number 15, Riverdale Baptist at McNamara. A 2 o'clock start there. Gonzaga reopens their field as they'll be playing a 2 o'clock start against Calvert Hall of Maryland. Carroll goes on the road in Ohio to face Schroeder in a 7 o'clock start. Avalon will host Colonial Beach. That one also will be a 7 o'clock start. So that's going to do it tonight for us on the final drive. I'm Jeremy Huber. You want to go ahead and give us some feedback, do it. Tweet us at DMVStream with the hashtag DMV Final Drive. That's the hashtag DMV Final Drive. Again, I want to thank our guests on the show tonight. DeMatha head coach Elijah Brooks, Tuscarora head coach Mike Burnett, McNamara head coach Keith Goganius, and Champ head coach Jason Dawson. Again, I'm Jeremy Huber. This is the Final Drive. Remember, every Friday night, 10 o'clock, we're here for you, running down everything when it comes to high school football in the district, Maryland, and Virginia. So make sure you tune us in every Friday night right here on the Final Drive. I'm Jeremy Huber. Good night, everybody.